Hi, my name is Nonna Bean, whichever you've seen, and welcome to my series where I make Minecraft kingdoms based off of YouTubers that have inspired me in the past or present. This is Mumbo Jumbo, and this kingdom is called Rye Valley. So I first started off by building a bridge. This was going to be holding a railway that I wanted to use as the entrance for this kingdom. This kingdom is actually underground. This is a second part of my Mumbo Jumbo kingdom, and the first part had the village that was above the city that is just more of a decoy. Like it's like a decoy. The city just doesn't really. Let's just say they're paranoid, okay? They're very paranoid besties, okay? Now, I really wanted to have a railway to showcase everything and be able to show all of this beautiful kingdom and stuff. And it did end up working. It did end up working pretty well because there was a middle spike that I wanted to have it mainly revolve around, which is what I did. But I will say there was a couple of lava spots that just really screwed around with me. So quite often I had to go back and rebuild a good portion of it just because this the lava just kept burning it down. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry, but it just kept burning it down, actually. And it was really annoying towards the end, especially when I had a lot of it done. And then I'd look back and half it would be gone. But it did make me very good at building. So that's also really cool. Okay. Alright, so but yeah, the bridge ended up making a lot of problems for me, but it was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed how it came out, but as you can see that, yes, it did end up burning down a lot. It was very annoying and it burned down so much. This happened very often. This happens every once an hour, and I spent a total of roughly 22 hours on this build, so it's a lot. It got very annoying. It got very annoying very quickly before I decided to just straight up get rid of all of the lava. But yeah, so, my Mumbo Jumbo, I initially had a lot of ideas, and I wanted to have it be a lot more steampunk. It was going to be a hidden village underneath a jungle, hidden kingdom underneath a jungle village, and hiding, it's built within the walls and the trees and all that jazz, just so I wanted to be able to have that feel of just, these people know what they're doing. They're existing in the walls, they're very rich from a lore standpoint, because since they're a minor kingdom, so they do a lot of mining because, they're in a cave. And since no one knows where they are, they just so happen to be extremely rich because they've never gone to conflicts before. They always were outside of the conflict and just only came in when their close friends or close allies got really involved. I just wanted there to be a lot of bread in general, so I used a lot of redstone torches instead of normal torches, and different variants of bread, like concrete and terracotta and all of that. And then I wanted to have a little bit more fancy and a little bit community based, but not as community based as my Fields of Minecraft kingdom was, or the Flazer Empire. So for the palette for the above village, I use a lot of jungle wood, and I tried to make the roofs very slanted. I have it was very overgrown. There were all tree houses. I used green terracotta, small town vibes, lots of lanterns. There was nearly no redstone. Actually, there was no redstone. There was no redstone at all within that kingdom, and I used a lot of spruce with the flooring and the roofs. But with the palette for this kingdom specifically that you're watching the bridge being created of, I wanted to have a very dystopian vibe. Black, light grey, and red terracotta, jungle wood, because that would be their main wood source of access. Some spruce as well, just to change it up a little bit. The wood I'm currently building with, I believe, is spruce. And then I wanted to have a lot more modern compared to the other kingdom, the other little village, and lots of redstone and very fancy. So with each of these kingdoms, I wanted to have it to be specific villages, right? I needed to think from a lore standpoint, how I wanted people to interact with each other, how I wanted other kingdoms to think of this kingdom, and so I had a lot of weaponry, right? Had a lot of weapons, but they don't use the weapons themselves, they just sell it to other countries, and they have tools to sell to other countries, and they have fletchers, mason, they use to mine and stuff. But yeah, so now the style that I wanted was, above is a village surrounded by trees and foliage where a few people live happily, but underneath is the village via a jungle temple is a hidden town full of people walking about. They love to make redstone and creations for everyday use. So in total, the surface village spent me 4 hours 34 minutes. The tunnel that I did between these two areas, because I used a jungle temple within the village to be able to use that as an access, because any outsiders that would go in there would never go into the jungle temple, because it's a place of worship, question mark. So that took me roughly like 10 minutes or so. This railway that I'm currently building on screen did take me a very long time. It took me an hour. I did not expect it for me to take me an hour, I'm not gonna lie to you. It doesn't seem like it took an hour. And then the main house, which is what I've just dubbed as like, the most important house. The house I spend most time on, because it's like, oh, the important person lives up here. That took me roughly like 4 hours, because that was a lot of building, because that in that little spike there in the center where the railway is wrapping around. Yeah, that took me a while. The town in total took me roughly 2 hours or so. So in total is 22 hours, 44 minutes, and 42 seconds. Which is, because I timed every single bit of this, I timed a lot, and if you come onto my streams at twitch.tv/nonbinary, you'll be able to watch me build this in real time. That's shocking, I know. Anyways, but for the story, I thought a lot about this, because I really had no clue to what to do about the story, and I really just tried to connect with everything else, because I do not have a complete story for all of my kingdom and the entire world in general, and so I would love to build more of a story around it. And so I just kind of like did it, right? I just thought about it. I'm like, yep, okay, that makes sense, this makes sense, and that makes sense. So with the story, Rye Valley was always a more paranoid country, having a village above their actual home to divert attention, and even then the village was incredibly well hidden. The village was content with staying above the ground, and they had their own little community to hang out with. Below the surface, however, was a town much larger, who mined their way through the layers of the earth to get goods such as golds and diamonds. They traded away their mined goods and other creations to other larger countries in order to gain riches beyond most comprehension. They poured this money back into their research on redstone, as many others still had no clue to use it. Though throughout many battles and wars, Rye Valley stayed neutral, only joining in when their close allies and friends were in trouble. Other than that, they stayed completely on the sidelines and would only give resources when paid well. Since no one knew where they were, there was no threat of invasion or harm. Now, with all of that, that took me a hot second to do, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I felt like it was best just to have Rye Valley be a more neutral country, as they did seem a lot more paranoid than every other country that I've built so far, having their entirety just underground and hidden and just not there. So with that, there is a story of the one time that they were found. This one time was the time that someone tried to invade them and went, hey, this is gonna be my place now, this is gonna be my area. And then what ended up happening was that they only found the village. They did not find the kingdom, and they're like, well, there's nothing here, so why even bother? And the entire kingdom just laughed because they were just so well hidden, and nothing ended up happening. They were found, and then that was about it. They were literally just found, and then the guy was like, what the fuck? What? Anyway, so final thoughts. This was one of the shortest kingdoms I've built so far. I've honestly expected to working on it a lot longer, but it's a pleasant surprise, because with my other kingdoms I spent like 25 hours or 30 hours. So this one is the shortest, as it's 22 hours. I love how the village and little town came out. Though I am disappointed I didn't add in a lot more redstone. It's just really hard. I promise I tried to build redstone. The most redstone is probably this little like railway and the door I created to be able to, you flick a lever in the jungle kingdom. No, not jungle kingdom. In the jungle temple, and then you fall, and it's like a 6-piston door. That's the most redstone I did. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's just really, really hard. But I could not figure out for the life of me. Anyways, I love the little bit of lore that I came up with. I really like how that came out, and I took a lot of time on that. It just was so confusing for me, and I really had no idea until the final stretch of the building, which was the same with the name. I really was just spitting out names left, right, and center until I came up with Rye Valley. Now, the reason why I came up with Rye Valley is because it's, rye is close to red, and valley because it's within a valley. Now, this area of footage, it got very corrupted. I'm not gonna lie to you, it got very corrupted. I only have these screenshots from the footage, so I'm really sorry. It was complete, it was all nice and done, but I only have these screenshots, and it pisses me off because a lot of my footage was corrupted for this video and for other videos. A lot of my footage is just being corrupted, and it's so annoying. But yeah, so I'm really excited. I love how it came out in total, and I'm really happy with it, man. But again, if you want to watch me build these live, go to twitch.tv/nonbinary, and you can just hang out there and vibe with me, you know? But yeah, so, with these little final touches, it was done. Anyways, so that was my Rye Valley. I hope you enjoyed. Eat water, drink food, and make sure to keep on existing. I love y'all. Bye!